in the crisp autumn of 1914, as the winds howled across the English Channel like the ghosts of forgotten voyages. A sturdy wooden ship named Endurance slipped her moorings in Plymouth Harbor. She was no ordinary vessel, but a three-masted barkentine built for the fury of polar seas. Her hull sheathed in green heart, planking thick as a man's arm to defy the crushing embrace of ice. At her helm stood Sir Ernest Shackleton, a man forged in the fires of previous Antarctic failures, his eyes sharp as a hawk's, his frame wiry and unyielding, carrying the weight of ambition that had twice before brushed against the edge of the unknown. He was 40 years old, a hero to some, a dreamer to others, driven by a promise to his backers and a fire in his soul to etch his name across the frozen heart of the world. The crew of 28 sole sailors, scientists, stokers, and one uninvited stowaway boy named Perce Blackborough gathered on deck that November 4th. Their breaths fogging in the chill air. They were a motley band. Tom Crean, the Irish giant, with fists like hams and a laugh that could thaw frostbite. Frank Worsley, the Canadian skipper whose navigation by stars was as instinctive as breathing. And Frank Hurley, the Australian photographer, whose camera was his weapon against oblivion. Shackleton had handpicked them, not for their expertise alone, but for the spark of resilience he saw in their eyes. "We are going to the Antarctic," he declared in his gravelly baritone, "to cross it on foot, from sea to sea, through the South Pole itself." The journey would span 1,800 miles of uncharted desolation, blizzards that stripped flesh from bone, temperatures plunging to 58 degrees below zero, no radios, no maps beyond sketches, no mercy from the white void. As Endurance steamed south, parting the gray swells like a knife through butter, the men sang shanties and dreamed of glory, oblivious to the trap tightening around them. By December 5th, they plunged into the Weddell Sea, a graveyard of ice where lesser ships had vanished without whisper. The pack ice thickened like clotting blood, forcing Endurance to weave a desperate path. Seals basked on floes, their sleek bodies glistening, while emperor penguins waddled in comical procession, unaware of the intruders. On January 18, 1915, the inevitable struck. The ice closed in, a groaning leviathan of white that halted the ship dead in her tracks, 200 miles from the continent's edge. The engines thrummed in vain, propellers churning foam that froze mid-air. Shackleton paced the bridge, his pipe clenched between teeth, refusing to yield. "She break free in the spring," he assured the crew, though doubt gnawed at his gut like hunger. But spring was months away, and winter descended like a shroudless night, where the sun vanished for 4 months, leaving only the aurora's ghostly veils and the ice's relentless creak. Life aboard became a ritual of defiance. The men drilled dog's-old teams, 69 huskies with pups born on the floe, their yips echoing like children's laughter in the void. Hurley captured it all, portraits of bearded faces lit by oil lamps, the ship's rigging festooned with icicles like crystal chandeliers, the crew playing football on the ice under a sky of smeared stars. They celebrated Midwinter Day on June 22nd with a feast of seal stew and hooch brewed from methylate spirits, toasting absent wives and the faint hope of home. Yet the ice plodded in silence. By late October, the pressure ridges built towering walls of fractured bergs, grinding against the hull with the thunder of artillery. On the 24th, at 6:45 in the evening, the assault began. A guttural roar shook the ship as the stern lifted 20 feet, plates buckling like tinfoil. Water surged in, black and frigid, climbing to their knees. Pumps clattered through the night, men waist-deep in the flood, their curses mingling with the ship's dying groans. For 3 days they fought, sawing at the ice with picks and axes, their hands raw and bleeding. But on October 27th, the end came swift as a guillotine. An explosion of splintered wood rent the air. The rudder sheared away. The propeller vanished into the depths. Shackleton ordered abandon ship, his voice steady as granite. Every man for himself. No, wait. Every man for each other. They salvaged what they could. 3 lifeboats James Caird, Dudley Docker, and Stankham, Wills lashed atop sleds, tents sewn from sails, 80 days' worth of pemmican, hoarded like gold, rifles, matches, a sextant, and Hurley's precious glass plates, winnowed to 120 from 400. The dogs whimpered as leads were cut. The men ferried gear across the floe in the dying light, the ship tilting like a wounded beast. Tom McLeod paused amid the chaos, his face etched with the lines of a man who'd built his own coffin. "Skipper," he muttered, "I don't think we'll ever clap eyes on England again." Shackleton clapped his shoulder, forcing a grin. "Nonsense, Tom. We're British. We don't quit." As Endurance gave her final shudder and slipped beneath the surface on November 21st, the crew watched from 2 miles away. She settled upright in 10,000 feet of ink-black water, her ensign fluttering one last time. Stranded on a nameless floe the size of a city block, they named their camp Patience. The world beyond was a myth. No rescue ships ventured this far south, the nearest whaling station 1,200 miles away. Rations dwindled to a hot meal of hoosh seal blubber boiled with crushed biscuits and a lump of chocolate the size of a fist. The cold seeped into marrow. Men woke with frost-bitten toes. Their beards rhymed white. Shackleton rationed hope as fiercely as food, organizing lectures and sing-alongs to banish the madness of isolation. One night, under a rural fire, he gathered them around a blubber lamp. "We took up our task for no wages," he said softly, "but because we loved the game. And by God, we'll finish it." Months blurred into a haze of drift. The ice carried them eastward at a snail's pace, mocking their sledges laden with boats, weighing a ton apiece. By April 9, 1916, the floe fractured, dumping them into open water. Panic flared as cracks spider-webbed outward. Men leaped from berg to berg, hauling lines slick with spray. They launched the boats into a maelstrom of brash ice, oars flashing like desperate wings. Waves towered 30 feet, slamming the hulls. Hypothermia clawed at exposed flesh. Shackleton, at the tiller of the James Caird, navigated by dead reckoning. "Pull, lads. Pull like the devil's after you," he roared. Seals and penguins became salvation clubbed for meat, their blood a warm elixir. On April 15th, a low smudge rose on the horizon, Elephant Island. They beached the boats in a cove of black pebbles, collapsing in sodden heaps. Solid ground after 16 months on shifting ice felt like a lover's embrace, but joy soured to dread. The island was a fortress of guano and granite, uninhabited save for scavenging skuas. No shelter, no fresh water, only the wind's eternal howl. Perce Blackborough lay feverish, gangrene blackening his toes. The surgeon's saw took them clean at the ankle. Shackleton knew they couldn't wait for rescue. He gathered his officers beneath a canvas tent stinking of blubber. "Take the men and the best boat to South Georgia," he announced. "The rest, stay. Hold fast." Frank Wilde nodded grimly. "We'll be here, boss," he promised. "Every day we'll say, Pack your troubles in your old kit bag. The boss is coming today. On April 24th, Shackleton and 5 men shoved off in the James Caird. The Drake Passage awaited. They rowed in shifts, 4 hours, on, 4 off. Spray froze into armor upon them. Gales topped 70 knots. The boat plunged into troughs deep as cathedrals. Sleep came in snatches. Men lashed to thwarts. On the 5th day, a rogue wave nearly sank them. McNish bailed with a tin hat, cursing the sea. Shackleton sighted albatross wheeling like omens. In a rage, he struck one from the sky with an oar. They ate it raw that night. On May 10th, the cliffs of South Georgia rose before them. But they landed on the wrong side. For 9 days they sheltered in a cave. Elephant seals became sustenance. Strength returned. On May 19th at 3 a.m., Shackleton roused Worsley and Crean. The traverse began. They climbed scree slopes that avalanched beneath them. They crossed crevasses, yawning like graves. Blizzards blinded them. They descended cliffs by knotting their hands for footholds. Hallucinations taunted them. After 36 hours, they crested the final ridge. Below lay Stromness. The manager, Skirl, stared at them in shock. Is that the Endurance? He gasped. They were led to baths and food. Worsley sailed to retrieve McNish and Vincent. But Shackleton's thoughts raced toward Elephant Island. 4.5 months had passed. He requisitioned ships. The Southern Sky failed. The Emma failed. A third ship failed. A third ship failed. Desperation mounted. Shackleton bartered for the Chilean steamer Yelcho. On August 25, 1916, she steamed into the ice. On the 6th day, they sighted Elephant Island. The tents still stood. Smoke rose from a fire. Frank Wild waited, skeletal but unbroken. They had followed Shackleton's creed daily. They built shelters from upturned boats. Rations dwindled to cartilage and sinew. Morale teetered, but they endured. As the Yelcho anchored, Wild shouted, "Are you the boss?" "Aye, Frank." "All well," Shackleton replied. The reunion broke them into tears. One by one, they boarded the Yelcho. All 28 survived. They returned to England by November 1916. They were ghosts no more, but legends. Shackleton would sail again and die in 1922. He was buried on South Georgia. In 2022, divers found Endurance intact. She remains a time capsule beneath the ice. Her story whispers still. It is not a tale of defeat. It is a testament to men who stared into the abyss and laughed. For it was not the cold that tested them. Ictasto, within. And that fire burns eternal. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe.